I never expected a simple weekend plan to rattle everything I thought I knew about myself. But then again, nothing about him had ever been simple. It started with a text. "Wanna crash at my place Friday? Gym day, movie night, all that." It was typical of him, short, casual, no fluff. I read it twice, maybe 3 times, before typing back ashore, like it didn't make my heart race. I'd known him for 2 years. We met through a mutual friend at a college gym, both obsessed with working out, and neither of us great at small talk. We bonded over protein shakes, post-leg day soreness, and trash-talking each other during dumbbell sets. He was that kind of guy, confident, always, with that infuriating smirk. Cocky, in a way that somehow made me laugh more than it annoyed me. I guess I've always been the more reserved one. I don't do parties. I don't overshare. I like routines and quiet. But around him, everything felt louder, in a good way, like my world had color where it used to be grayscale. He'd show up, mess up my meal prep with some takeout excuse, pull me into spontaneous gym challenges, or just sit around flipping through TV channels while casually placing his bare feet on my thigh, like it wasn't the most distracting thing on earth. That Friday, the plan was simple: gym in the evening, late dinner, then movie night at his place. It was our thing, mocking old action flicks, swapping cheat day snacks, maybe wrestling if we were bored enough, and full of energy drinks. A tradition that had started out as harmless fun, but lately felt different. It was in the way I noticed how his shirt clung to his back when he stretched, or how he'd brush his fingers through his hair after a sweaty session, and I'd find myself staring longer than I should. It was subtle, too subtle for even me to admit to myself, but it was there, this tension, this pull. His apartment felt familiar. I'd been there more times than I could count. Same couch we'd crashed on after leg day, same dumb posters on the wall. But that night, everything felt charged, like the air between us was thinner, tighter. He tossed me a towel after our workout, smirking. "You're slowing down, man. Might need to up your cardio. Or maybe you just finally caught up." I shot back, rolling my eyes, trying to hide the smile tugging at my lips. He laughed loud, easy, that full body kind of laugh that always did something to me. God, I hated how much I liked the sound of it. Later, after dinner, we ended up sprawled across his floor, half watching a movie neither of us cared about. He started poking fun at my form during our earlier wrestling match, and I retaliated by shoving a pillow in his face. That led to playful shoves, taunts, and before I knew it we were wrestling again. Just like always, except this time, when he pinned me, his knee between my legs, hands gripping my wrists. Breath close to mine, something in my chest cracked open. I laughed, but it came out wrong. It was breathless, raw. He paused, eyes locked on mine. His smile faded just slightly, replaced by something unreadable, and I panicked, looked away. Tried to brush it off like it meant nothing, but it did, and I think he felt it too. That night, as I lay on the couch pretending to scroll through my phone while he cleaned up in the kitchen, my heart wouldn't settle. Every second stretched out like something unspoken was pressing between us, and I wasn't sure if I was ready for it. But maybe I needed it, because no matter how much I tried to ignore it, this thing between us had stopped being just friendship a long time ago, and I was done pretending it hadn't. Our friendship had always been easy, effortless, even, the kind that slipped into place like it had always existed, like we didn't need to explain anything to each other. We just got it. We met at the college gym during our second semester. I remember spotting him on the bench press, arms like rope and veins popping with the kind of effort I'd only ever associated with Olympic lifters. He was yelling at himself between sets, hyping himself up like a maniac. I was amused and weirdly impressed. He caught me staring and grinned like he already knew we were going to be friends. He introduced himself by handing me a protein bar I didn't ask for, and telling me I looked like I skipped leg day. I wanted to punch him. Instead, I laughed. That was the start. Since then, we became something of a duo, Gym Bros by nickname, though I always found that title too shallow for what we were. We studied in different departments, ran in different circles, but always found time to link up for workouts, late-night food runs, or study sessions that ended in more talking than reading. He was loud, chaotic, the kind of guy who would do backflips into the campus pool just to make a point. I was the opposite, quiet, careful, internal, but together, we balanced each other. Where he was bold, I was observant. Where I hesitated, he leaped. It was like ... gravity, pulling us together in ways I didn't have the language for, at least not then. The chemistry was always there, in the way we could communicate with nothing but a glance, in how he'd poke my ribs when I was too serious, or how I'd yank his hoodie over his head when he got too smug. Our banter had its rhythm, and we knew exactly how to press each other's buttons, usually in public, and always with laughter underneath. "Remember when you tried to beat me at that pull-up contest?" he said last night, lying beside me on the floor, head resting on a rolled-up hoodie. "You cheated," I muttered, eyes on the ceiling. "You just didn't expect me to be stronger and better looking." I turned and flicked his forehead. He just smirked. Yeah, that was us. We'd made plans for the weekend a few times before, but this one was a bit different. We were supposed to go camping with 2 other guys from the gym, but both bailed last minute. Some emergency. Instead of canceling, he shrugged and said, "Just us." Then, more snacks for me. I agreed before thinking too hard about it. Something about being alone with him in a tent overnight tugged at something. Inside me, excitement wrapped tightly around fear. We didn't go far, just an hour's drive to a quiet wooded area near a lake. He'd been there before, said he liked the calm, said he needed it. I didn't question it. The first hiccup came when we unpacked the gear and realized there was only one sleeping bag. "Don't look at me," he said, scratching the back of his head. "I thought you brought yours." "I thought you had too," I said. He grinned. "Guess we're sharing." I choked on my water. He laughed loudly. "Relax, dude. It's not like I'm gonna coddle you in your sleep." The idea shouldn't have made my pulse spike the way it did. "It's fine," I said, maybe a little too quickly. "We'll just ... deal." He raised an eyebrow. "You sure?" I nodded, even though I wasn't. That night, as we sat around a small fire, roasting marshmallows like we were 12 again, the silence between us felt different. Not awkward, just full, like something was waiting. He tossed me a half-burned marshmallow, and I caught it with a grin. "You know," he said, looking into the fire, "I'm glad it's just us. The others would have ruined it." I glanced at him. His profile was lit by the flame, shadows dancing across his cheek. He looked ... softer, like he'd dropped whatever armor he always wore. "Yeah," I said quietly. "Me too." We fell into silence again, but this time it wasn't empty. It was warm. Familiar. When it got too cold, we retreated into the tent. The sleeping bag was more cramped than either of us expected. He stripped down to a t-shirt and joggers, tossing his hoodie to the side. I did the same, feeling weirdly exposed, despite being fully clothed. We lay side by side, barely a breath apart. I kept my arms close, trying not to brush against him. Every movement felt magnified, every shift in the dark, every breath. At one point, our knees touched. I didn't move. Neither did he. He exhaled slowly. "You okay?" "Yeah," I whispered. "Too cold." "No, it's fine." But I wasn't fine. My heart was thudding, and I could feel the heat of his body soaking into my skin. Then, he did something small, something insignificant to anyone else, but it made my breath catch. He shifted, just slightly, and his hand brushed mine. He didn't pull away. I didn't either. We didn't say anything about it. Just lay there, the quiet between us humming with everything we couldn't say out loud. And in that moment, I knew I was falling. Slowly, stupidly, silently, ... I was falling for my best friend. The next morning was colder than we expected. I woke up stiff, my back sore from the uneven ground and the awkward way I'd been lying to avoid touching him too much. He, on the other hand, was dead asleep, face turned toward me, arms slung across, his stomach, chest rising and falling in a steady rhythm. He looked peaceful, like nothing in the world could touch him. And yet, all I could think about was how close we'd been all night. The brush of his hand, the way his leg had slid against mine at some point, and I hadn't moved away. I lay there for a while, unsure of how long, just watching him, listening to the quiet. It was the kind of silence that usually felt good between us. But this morning, it felt loaded, like something unsaid was sitting on my chest, waiting. Eventually, he stirred, rubbed his eyes, yawned like a lion. "Mornin'," he mumbled, voice rough. "Morning." His gaze flicked to mine, and I swerved for a split second. He looked like he remembered too. The touch, the space we didn't keep. But then it was gone. He sat up, stretched, and started digging through his backpack. It wasn't until later, when we packed up to head home, that the real complication hit. The car wouldn't start. I tried the ignition 3 times, listening to it sputter before falling silent. He leaned over, frowned, and tried it himself. "Nothing. You've got to be kidding me," he muttered. I got out and popped the hood, pretending I had the faintest clue what I was looking for. He joined me, chewing on the corner of his lip, his thinking habit hand fiddled with a few things. After 15 minutes of pretending we weren't screwed, he sighed. "Battery's dead. Completely." I looked around at the surrounding trees and quiet stretch of dirt road. We had no signal, no nearby town. The closest main road was probably an hour's walk, maybe more. "So, what do we do?" I asked. He exhaled slowly. "We wait. Someone might come through." I didn't say it, but we both knew that was unlikely. This place was remote for a reason. With no other choice, we grabbed what was left of our snacks and water and set up a blanket in the back seat of the car, leaving the doors open for fresh air. The sun was bright overhead, but the shade was cooler, and the car wasn't as cramped as the tent had been, but it was close. Too close. He lay on his back, arms behind his head. I sat beside him, trying not to let my knee touch his. "Again, you're fidgety," he said without opening his eyes. "I'm fine." He cracked one eye open and smirked. "You sure? You look like you're gonna crawl out of your skin." I forced a breath and stared out at the trees, just thinking. I hesitated. About how your arm brushed mine, and I haven't stopped thinking about it since. About how I want more, but I'm afraid it'll ruin everything. Stuff. He didn't push, but I felt his eyes on me. The hours passed slowly. We talked to fill the silence, but even that felt different, now less teasing, more careful, measured. At one point, he reached past me to grab something from his bag, and his chest brushed my arm, warm through the thin fabric. I froze. He didn't notice. Or maybe he did, and didn't say anything. Later, while we were lying side by side again, legs stretched out, he turned his head and looked at me. "You ever think about how weird this is?" I frowned. "What do you mean? This, us, spending a weekend in the woods alone, sleeping in one bag, stuck in a car together. Feels like some rom-com setup." I laughed, but it came out too sharp. "You watch rom-coms. Hey, I've got sisters. I've seen stuff." He grinned, but there was something softer under it. Something vulnerable. His foot nudged mine gently. "I don't mind being stuck with you," he added, quieter now. "Could have been worse." My throat went dry. I tried to play it off. "Yeah, you could have been stuck with someone who doesn't put up with your trash talking." He chuckled, eyes still on mine. "True, but then I wouldn't be lying next to someone who smells like cedar wood and vanilla protein bars." I blinked. You noticed that? He shrugged. It's your thing. Smells like you. My heart skipped. He notices how I smell. I didn't reply. I couldn't, because everything inside me was screaming, say something. Tell him. But I didn't. I stayed silent. That night, when the sky turned deep navy and we'd run out of snacks and small talk, we lay side by side in the back seat. The air had cooled again. He shifted closer, just slightly, and our shoulders touched. Neither of us moved. I could feel his warmth against me, the soft rise and fall of his breath. My body tensed, but not from discomfort, from need, want, confusion. I was thinking, he said suddenly, voice low. Yeah. He hesitated. Have you ever wanted something, but were scared if you reached for it, it'd ruin everything? I turned my head slowly to look at him. His face was close, closer than it had ever been. His eyes were unreadable in the dark, but something in them pulled at me. Yeah, I whispered. I have. We didn't say anything else, but in that silence, our fingers found each other, tentative, barely touching, but enough to feel like everything had changed, and maybe it finally had. I didn't sleep much that night. How could I, when his hand was right there, barely brushing mine, but enough to keep me grounded and spiraling all at once? I kept my breath slow, still, like any shift would shatter this fragile, silent agreement between us. He didn't pull away. That meant something, didn't it? I kept replaying what he'd said earlier. You ever want something, but you're scared it'll ruin everything? Yeah, I did. I still do. We lay like that until the sky began to bleed color into the edges of the horizon. I could tell he wasn't asleep either. His breath was too aware, measured, and maybe that's what made me finally whisper, I don't want to ruin anything. His head shifted slightly. He was listening. I could feel it, but I also don't want to keep pretending. Silence stretched, thick and trembling. Then he turned, just enough to face me, propping himself up on one elbow. His face was half in shadow, half in the pale light of morning, and all I could think was, he's beautiful. You're not pretending very well, he said softly, voice rough with sleep, and something else, something heavier. I swallowed hard. I know. He studied me for a beat. When did it start? The question caught me off guard. I looked away, out the back window at the forest canopy above us, where the leaves were still and quiet, almost expectant. I don't know. Not one moment. It was slow. Like every time you laughed or got too close, something in me shifted. I kept telling myself it was just in my head. Just me being. I stopped myself. Being what? He asked, gently. Wrong. He sat up straighter then. Hey, don't say that. I shook my head. I mean it. I thought it was just a stupid crush. One of those things that passes. But it didn't. It kept growing, and I kept trying to hide it, and now, I looked at him, finally. My throat tightened. Now I'm terrified that saying any of this is going to screw everything up. He stared at me, unmoving, and I waited. God, I waited. I thought I might throw up, or pass out from how hard my heart was beating, when he finally spoke. It was barely above a whisper. I think about you all the time. The words hit like a wave. I didn't know what it meant at first. He went on. I just liked being around you. You made everything feel easier, safer, like I didn't have to perform all the time. But then I'd catch myself noticing things. He laughed a little, embarrassed. Your stupid smirk when you beat me at something. The way you chew on your lip when you're thinking. The way you always smell like clean laundry and cedar. I didn't say anything because I thought maybe it was just me, too. My chest ached. So why didn't you? Because I didn't want to risk what we had. I thought if I said something and it wasn't mutual. He trailed off. I couldn't lose you. I sat up then, facing him fully. We were so close. His knees brushed mine. You're not going to lose me, I said. Not unless you want to. I don't. His voice cracked. God, I don't. I reached for his hand. This time, not tentative. Not by accident. I took it like I meant it. Because I did. He gripped mine back like he'd been waiting for it. I've never done this before, I admitted. I've never felt this way about anyone. His eyes softened. Neither have I. The moment stretched between you as silent, intimate, and real. And then he leaned in, slowly, like giving me the chance to stop it, if I needed to. I didn't. Our lips met somewhere between breath and heartbeat, and it was nothing like I expected. It wasn't perfect. It was unsure and trembling, more of a question than a statement. But it was honest. It was him, and it was me. It was everything we'd been tiptoeing around for months, maybe longer. When we pulled apart, he didn't let go of my hand. He leaned his forehead against mine and exhaled shakily. That was terrifying. I laughed, lightheaded. Yeah, but good. Really good. He opened his eyes, and the look he gave me wasn't teasing or smug like usual. It was raw, vulnerable. You still scared? He asked. Terrified, I whispered. But not of this. Not anymore. Good. He squeezed my hand. Because I'm not going anywhere. We sat like that for a while, foreheads touching, fingers entwined, until the sun rose higher and warmed the car through the windows. The world felt different now. Like we'd stepped through a door we could never close again, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't want to. We didn't rush to get out of the car. Even after the kiss, after all the words we'd been too scared to say, were finally laid bare. We just stayed there, tangled in the quiet comfort of everything that had shifted between us. He was tracing small circles with his thumb on the back of my hand, like it was second nature now. I couldn't stop staring at him. Not in the obsessive, nervous way I used to, but like I was finally allowed to. So, he said eventually, voiced low and soft, that happened. Yeah, I murmured, unable to hide my smile. That definitely happened. He tilted his head, giving me that smug grin he wore so well. And you liked it? I did. I rolled my eyes, but my cheeks were already burning. But don't get cocky. No promises. He nudged me with his shoulder, and I nudged him back. It felt easy, again familiar, but with something warmer, humming underneath. I can't believe it took us this long, I admitted. He leaned his head back against the seat. I can. I was terrified. You mean a lot to me. Like, a lot. You mean a lot to me too, I said. That's why I kept it to myself for so long. He turned to face me again, more serious now. You ever think about how different things could have been if one of us had just said something earlier? All the time, I confessed. But maybe we needed the time to figure ourselves out first. He nodded slowly, like he understood exactly what I meant. Yeah, maybe it wouldn't have meant as much if we hadn't fought it for so long. We sat in that realization for a moment, letting it sink in. Then he glanced at the dashboard. Still no signal. Looks like we're stuck here a little longer, he smirked. Guess we'll just have to keep making out until someone finds us. I snorted. Smooth. I try. But even with the teasing, there was a tenderness in his gaze that didn't go away. Every time our eyes met, it felt like a quiet promise. Like now that the walls were down, we weren't going to pretend anymore. When we finally climbed out of the car to stretch our legs, he grabbed my wrist and pulled me into a loose hug. Not rushed, not eager, just present. I pressed my forehead to his shoulder. This feels right. It does, he said. Like I've been trying to get to this moment without even realizing it. We sat at the edge of the road, legs dangling, shoulders pressed together. Talking came easier now. We joked about all the times we nearly confessed and didn't. He admitted he once typed out a message at 2 a.m. and deleted it before sending. I told him I used to pretend to fall asleep during movie nights just to feel him close. He shook his head, grinning. We're a mess. Yeah, I laughed. But at least we're honest now. Then came the harder part, the real part. So, what now? I asked, not afraid, just curious. He thought for a moment. We go home. We figure it out. One day at a time. And if it's not easy, then we talk. We stay honest. We don't let fear mess this up again. I looked at him, his jaw set, eyes clear. For once, there wasn't a trace of doubt. In me. I want this, I said. I want you. His smile turned soft. Good. Because you've kind of been mine this whole time. That earned him another shove. And a kiss. And then another, slower one. Just because we could. When the tow truck finally showed up later that afternoon, we were sitting on the roof of his car, legs tangled, hands clasped. The driver raised an eyebrow at us but didn't say anything. We just grinned at each other. Something had shifted, not in a dramatic movie scene kind of way, but in the quiet, soul-deep way that settles into your bones. We were still us, still teasing, still wrestling, still arguing over dumb protein shake flavors. But now, there was something more. Something open. Something real. And neither of us was pretending anymore. It's been 2 weeks since that weekend, and everything feels different quietly. Wonderfully different. We didn't make a big announcement. We didn't rush to label it or explain it to anyone. We just kept going. Together. He's still the same annoying guy who texts me memes at 2 a.m. and forgets his gym bag everywhere we go. I still pretend not to smile when he sneaks up behind me and rests his chin on my shoulder while I'm cooking. But now, when his hand finds mine in the middle of a movie, or when he lingers a second longer before leaving the room, I don't question it. I hold on. That first week back, we were both careful, in public especially at the gym. Not because we were ashamed, but because this was ours. And we weren't ready to hand it over to the world just yet. But last night, he reached over while we were walking out of the gym, and casually took my hand, like it was the most natural thing in the world. I glanced at him, surprised. He just shrugged. I got tired of pretending like you're not mine. And I swear, I almost forgot how to breathe. We walked all the way to the car, like that hand in hand. No one said a word, and even if they had, I wouldn't have let go. Today, we're back at his place. A lazy Sunday tradition now. Workout in the morning, food delivery by noon, and then falling asleep halfway through a movie we've already seen. I'm lying on his couch while he messes around with the remote, trying to find the least predictable action film ever made, which, according to him, is a myth. Just admit you like romantic comedies, I say, throwing a popcorn kernel at him. He ducks. You kissed me during one, so who's really the fan here? Don't turn this on me. I already did, in that car. I laugh, and he grins proud of his stupid joke. But then he sits beside me, quieter now. I've been thinking, he says, more seriously. About us. I sit up. Yeah. He nods. I know this is still new, and we've got stuff to figure out, but I don't want to go back to before. I reach for his hand. Me neither. I don't care what people think. Not anymore. You're it for me, you know? And if we ever get stranded again, I'm not waiting 2 nights to kiss you. I smile. Good to know. I'll pack a dead battery, just in case. He laughs and squeezes my hand. Promise me something. Anything. Don't run if it gets hard. Don't shut me out. I look at him, really look at him. He's not asking out of insecurity. He's asking out of hope, out of wanting this to last. I won't, I say. Not this time. He lets out a breath, and I watch some invisible weight lift off his shoulders. Then he leans forward and presses a soft kiss to my forehead. Just that. No heat, no teasing, just real. It says everything. After dinner, we lie back on the couch, legs tangled. He's half asleep already, mumbling nonsense, one arm draped across my waist. I think about how far we've come, from gym buddies, 2 sleepovers, from hesitant touches to whispered confessions. And I know this isn't the end of anything. It's the start of something that might not be easy. But it's real, and it's ours. On the table, next to his keys, sits a small photo from that camping trip. He printed it this morning. We're both squinting at the camera, sun in our eyes, shoulders touching. He wrote something in the corner in his messy all caps handwriting. Stuck, but not alone. I smile every time I look at it, because I know we're not stuck anymore. We're choosing this one day at a time, and for the first time, I'm not afraid of what comes next.